One of the so-called superpowers about having Asperger syndrome is orderliness. So we've got 7 factors, or I should say observations, maybe benefits of having Asperger syndrome, and this, what some people would call an obsession or compulsion to do everything neatly, tidy, everything in order. Yeah, there's some exceptions. I got to admit, I'm not the most orderly person on the planet, but compared to most people, yeah, I've got this obsession, this compulsion with putting things in order. So let's dig right into it. Number one is this. Orderliness is often detected in early childhood. Now, the reason this is so important is because parents in particular are wondering, do my kids or my little kid have Asperger syndrome or maybe autism? Is he on or she on the autism spectrum? Well, take a look. See if your child likes to put things in order. I know that when I was little, I used to play with these tiny little cars. I'm so old, this is before they had, what do they call them now? Matchbook cars, I think they call them, but this is even before then, but they were about the same size. And I would play with them in the backyard, and I'd create little towns in the turf, make little roads through the grass, and I'd put my cars in order, in sequence. And I'd take all the tiny little trucks. I used to buy these at the dime store for a dime each, and I had a trucking company in the grass, and I put all my trucks, I guess that's how you have a trucking company, is you get a bunch of trucks. Put them all in an order. I had these little toy soldiers. Remember those little green things, plastic things you play with as a kid? I had some of those. I kept those in order. We had a fort made out of plastic that was about a foot square rather. And they had these little plastic soldiers, and I would put those in order. I had this obsession with order. Now, the reason I say that is because if you have a child and they seem to have a compulsion with putting things in order, by the way, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. It's just an observation. So, yeah, maybe there's an indicator there that your child may have Asperger syndrome. Let's take a look at number 2, and that is this. Orderliness is an expression of obsessive compulsive personality disorder. Most people think of that as kind of a bad thing. They see it in negative terms, and sometimes it can be, but other times, particularly when it's expressed as orderliness, it can actually be, my opinion, a very positive thing. So let's take a look at how this could be positive. And I think one of the reasons that I was successful in business is because I had this compulsion that everything had to be done on a schedule, on time. It had to be done a proper way. It had to be done right. So what that did is it gave me an advantage over my competitors, particularly when it came to doing things like creating sales material, getting sales paraphernalia to the post office and getting it on time, but keeping track of sales. What sales material worked, what sales material didn't work. I would put all that on a spreadsheet and keep very close track of it. And before we had spreadsheets, yes, there was a time when we didn't have computers, believe it or not. I would, use the analog version, which is called pen and paper. Okay, pencil and paper. But yeah, well, I would put everything in order. That gave me an edge over the competition, I believe. So that can attribute to success in life if you own a business, but if you're an employee, you could be a very valuable asset to your employer if your employer has enough sense to recognize it. Number 3 is this. Our orderliness may be expressed in our aptitude for math. Now, this is very closely akin, I think, to success in business, because a lot of my success in business had to do with my ability to work with numbers, particularly doing evaluation. All right, so let's say, for example, I spent $20,000 this month on postage. I got to do the math. I got to see if that money's coming back. If I spent thousands of dollars on printing, material to mail, to get to, I was in the direct marketing business, by the way. I guess that was obvious. But I want to know if that money's coming back, and if so, if it's coming back with a profit, and if it's not, then I need to make some adjustments. So, mathematics, we tend to have, people with Asperger syndrome tend to have a fairly good aptitude with numbers. Now, I am not a math genius, but I'm pretty good with numbers. Some people, they like to play video games. What I do is I don't play video games. There's a website, actually there's several of them, but you go to the website and it's kind of like practice for students, and you can practice adding numbers. I think that's fun. 4-digit, 5-digit number added to another 4 or 5-digit number. To me it's very relaxing, just sit there and add numbers. So we have an aptitude for math. Number 4 is this. Orderliness tends to express itself as an obsession with lists. I can't count the number of times that I have gone to the grocery store, and I usually go early in the morning, like 3 o'clock, when nobody is there, so I don't have to encounter people. But I don't know how many times I've head off to the grocery store and forgot my shopping list. Now, that brings to mind, I said there's 7 of these, but this brings to mind an 8th one that I did not add to the list. One of the advantages of being orderly and having lists is as you get older and you start forgetting things, losing your memory, that aptitude for orderliness and making lists actually helps you keep your memory in check. So yeah, we can call that one number 8, but it's actually not on here. By the way, you want to stick through this till we get down to number 7, because that's going to be a real surpriser. Number 5 is this. Orderliness can be expressed in grooming. Now, this may shock a lot of people, particularly when they look at me on your screen. What you see is my hair is combed, but it's not overly neat. You can see my shirt here is kind of frumpy. You can, by the way, don't know if you've noticed this or not, but every time you watch me, I'm always wearing the same shirt. Well, not really. I just have a lot of shirts, and they're all identical. The only difference is they're different colors. Some of them are brown, some are dark brown, some of them are whatever color this is, but they're all identical. So when I say that it can be expressed in grooming, I have my shirts in order. Now, it doesn't look that way when you look at me, but if you look at my closet, you'd see every one of my shirts has a number on it. And I do that for a reason, because if I don't, I'd wind up wearing the same shirt every single day. I'd put it in the wash, take it out, dry it, hang it in the closet, wear it again. But by putting them in sequence and numbering each one of them, I can make sure that I don't wear the same shirt all the time, don't wear it out while the other shirts aren't being worn at all. So that can be seen in our grooming. What about our pants? I hate to admit this, but I wear sweatpants every single day. Now, that's not very stylish, is it? Who cares? People with Asperger syndrome really are not into this social conformity thing. We're not into social climbing. We don't care that much what other people think about us. I'm not saying we don't care, because we do, but it's just not an obsession. So think of this as kind of a trade-off. A lot of people that we would call neurotypical have this, in my opinion, just my opinion, not a clinical opinion, but they have a compulsive, obsessive disorder for social conformity. We don't have that. Instead, we have a compulsion for orderliness, but we also have no compulsion for social acceptance. A little bit, sometimes it's very frustrating. We get a little bit depressed when we're left out, but basically it's just not that important to us. So we have the benefits is we don't have to spend a lot of money on clothes, and that's whatever they do to their hair. Women are really into that. Man, that's expensive, buying clothes and having your hair done and all that. We don't waste our money on those things because, quite frankly, we're not really too concerned about fitting in. And if somebody looks at us, we want to be presentable. We don't want to dress offensively. Well, some people would go to that extent, but I don't. But on the other hand, if you don't like the way I look, well, look the other direction. and don't make eye contact when you do it. So, fifth is orderliness can be expressed in grooming, even though we may look a little frumpy. Yeah, these shirts are all in the closet in order. My sweatpants, I've got a specific place where I put my sweatpants in my it's kind of like a closet, only has shelves on it, so I stack them in there. And by the way, all my fabrics, with very few exception, are dark. Same reason. Orderliness. So when I go to do the laundry, guess what? I don't separate clothes between colors and whites and darks. I just put them in the washing machine because they're all dark. So, yeah, once again, you can't see it looking at me. You can't see it looking at us. But behind the frumpy appearance, there is order. So, what would you call that? Instead of order out of chaos, it's kind of like chaos out of order, I guess. Number 6 is this. Orderliness allows Aspies to be super efficient and productive. When you put things in order, that allows you to do things in such a way that you can be more efficient. You can be more effective, get a lot more done. Let me just give you an example from my personal. I'm pausing because I'm changing screens here. I want to make sure I get it right. This is my personal routine. This is my spreadsheet. And what did Aspergians do before there were spreadsheets? Once again, we used analogous tools called pencil and paper. So I've got a daily routine. You can see that here. I take my meds every day. I walk 7 miles almost every day, weather permitting. I take my sodium bicarbonate because I've got kidney issues. I do my workout every single day. I water my plants, not every day, but I should. What about weekly? Every single Sunday. Without exception, I do all of these things. Some of them I skip, but all of them are on the list. One thing I do is I run my Chevy. Let me scroll down here. Where is it? This actually should be the first in the list. First thing I do when I get up is I pay off all my credit cards. First thing I do is get on the internet, and every single credit card I got is paid in full. On Sunday, every single Sunday. Guess what? I got a great credit score because of that. So being orderly has its benefits. All right, so I've got this old Chevy I bought when I was in high school. I've literally had this car for 5 decades. I mean, I just kept it. And so every Sunday morning, I don't drive it, particularly in the wintertime, but every Sunday morning, without exception, unless I'm really, really lazy or it's really, really cold out, I run my Chevy for about 15 minutes. Every Sunday morning, without exception, I cut my hair. Yes, I cut my own hair with a Flowbee. Flowbees were invented, I think, for Aspergians. I wash my shirts if they need to be washed. I go to the grocery every Sunday morning at 3 a.m. Ask me how I wake up. I've got an alarm, but it doesn't work. I just wake up. I don't know, something about your internal clock. I vacuum my bedroom, I clean the garage, and by the way, if you clean your garage every single week without exception, take note of this, it's really easy to clean. It takes about 5 minutes if you keep it clean all the time. Typically, cleaning the garage means getting a leaf blower and blowing all the dust out of it. Okay, I got to put that back in here. I've got a hotkey. And the hotkey is 3, and what it does, I'll show you. If I press the 3, it changes the screen. So I had this, I just did it again, shoot. Alright, whatever, clean garage. Now I'm going to have to go back, watch the video to find out what I just deleted so I don't skip it. Pay off credit cards first thing, 3 p.m. every Sunday. My wife and I go out to eat. We have a dinner date, only instead of at night, we go to eat in the middle of the afternoon. Anybody want to guess why? Because that's when the restaurants are least busy. Water plants, clean the porch. Do the desk cleanup on my computer, put some Drano in the sink. I do that just before I go to bed, so it sits overnight. Clean the kitchen counter, check bank balances, and there are a few other things I do monthly. Summertime, I spray the perimeter of our house with bug spray once a month. Run all the gas engines every single month on the first of the month. So if you got a lawnmower in the wintertime, first of the month started out, so springtime, it starts. Same thing with a snowblower in the summertime. First of the month started up, so it works in the wintertime when you need it. I do a video walkthrough of my house, so if we ever have a fire or burglary, I can document what is in my house. I pay my bills once a month. I spray weed and feed on the 15th of the month. The first of the month I do bug spray, and I hope I'm not boring you. I'm just trying to make a point here that we do things neatly and in order. But, well, this is quarterly. That's annually. Oil changes for my car. I do the first of the month because I do it twice a year, but I don't drive that much. But take a look at the section over here to the right of your screen. I've got a list here of 26 restaurants in our city that we like to go to. And I know exactly where we're going to eat on December the 27th of this year. We're going to Red Lobster. Last week we ate at a place called Papa's Grill. That was on the 19th. Actually, last week, I forgot to mark this one off. We ate at Montana Mike's. Okay, that one's marked off. Next week, which is February the 2nd, we're going to have Sunday dinner at a Mexican restaurant. Then we're going to Max and Irma's the next week, so forth and so on. So the point of all that is to say that there is a benefit of having Asperger syndrome is you tend to be very proficient, get a lot of things done, very orderly. So it allows us to be super efficient and productive. And that brings us to number 7. Now this is one that I said it's important because so many people overlook this. But orderliness can result in health benefits. Now, I've got another spreadsheet. I'm not going to show it to you because I just don't want to bore you to death, but I've got another spreadsheet where I keep track of my physical exercise. For example, every single day when possible, I walk 7 miles. It takes me about 2 hours and 20 minutes. If I'm sick, I don't walk. If it's a bad weather day, freezing cold outside, or if there's a thunderstorm, the idea is to be healthy, not to get struck with lightning, so I'll stay home. But the goal is to walk an average of 5 miles a day, and to get that done, I walk 7 miles, and realizing that some days I'm not going to be able to walk. So one of the benefits of being super orderly is you tend to be physically fit. More so, and I got to say, this is not a perfect science by any means. I've always had a problem with having too much adipose tissue, aka fat. Belly fat, I've always had a problem with that. Hang on just a second. Let me just interject this parenthetically. When I make these videos, I do it in one run. I don't go back and edit out this and edit in this. The reason is because when I make videos, I don't talk to YouTubers. I want to talk to one person. So if you and I were sitting down for a cup of coffee or tea in a restaurant and I was talking to you, I wouldn't keep starting over and over and over again every time I had to cough. So I wanted to come across to you as if the two of us, me and you, were sitting in a restaurant having a conversation, and you were to ask me, say, Ken, what are some of the things about Asperger syndrome and orderliness? All right, I'll tell you. So I just told you. But number 7 is health benefits. It's not only exercise, but also, believe it or not, I eat the same thing every single day, with few exceptions. And the reason I do that is it helps me track not only calories, but it helps me track nutrition. So if I gain a little weight at the end of the week, I look at my spreadsheet and I say, what can I cut out of this? Or where do I need to cut back? Or if I feel a little bit ill, something, I don't have energy or whatever, I say, geez, maybe I need more of this and less of that. So there are exceptions, for example, and hey, this is one of the benefits of having Asperger syndrome, one of the superpowers. So every Monday, I eat beef. Every Tuesday, I eat liver. Hey, it's good. Don't laugh at me. You put it in a wrap, you eat it, it's really tasty. Every Wednesday, I eat salmon. And then Thursday or Friday, I have a little recipe, get you some salmon and sardines. I'm serious. Don't laugh at me. Take salmon and sardines, put them in your little food processor, and blend them. And put them in a wrap. I mean, it's really, really good. You can add some vegetables if you want to give a little crunch to it. But why sardines? Why salmon? Well, the reason is because it's good for you. If you take a look, research it. Best fish you can eat on the planet are those two fishes. So that's what I do. Also, every week I rotate vegetables. So one week I'll eat, what do you call them? Baby something. Another week I'll eat spinach. Another week I'll eat cauliflower. Another week I'll eat baby spring is what I was thinking of. The other week I will eat broccoli. And so I rotate them week to week, but it's on the schedule. So you keep the schedule, and it works very well for me. So what is the point of all of that? The point of all of that is that what we do with our superpower of being orderly and tidy, and by the way, don't look at my office behind me because it's not really tidy. Okay, maybe it is. You know, I've got my books in order, okay, it is kind of tidy. It's dusty, I'll put it that way. But that's on my list. Once a month, clean the office, whether it needs it or not. But it helps us be more efficient, helps us be get more done, be more productive. So if you're an employer and you want to hire somebody who knows how to get things done, if you need somebody who knows how to get things organized, who can be more proficient, I recommend you look into hiring somebody who has Asperger syndrome, because they can get that place in order in no time flat. But, and this is the key, you got to be sure that you support them, because your other employees will not like it, because they tend to be not tidy. And they don't always get along with people with Asperger syndrome, because quite frankly, they think we're a little strange.